Well, good day, folks, and welcome to another edition of Lumberjack Logic Live. I'm your host, Neil Johnson, excited to be with you and always excited to share the news with you. And folks, there are big things happening to people in California. That's right. I'm talking specifically about Gavin Newsom and Adam Schiff. And right now, Governor Newsom is begging for what he has done. He is actually going back and begging the oil companies because he has destroyed the industry out there and they are in an energy crisis. But Adam Schiff, you guys have probably been seeing the news, lots of things dropping on him. So I've got a special guest for today's show. I got a hold of Donald Trump and I've got him on the show. And so here we go. President Trump, good to have you on the show today.
Well, it's good to be here. Lumberjack Logic. You know, we love lumberjacks. These are great people, and they work very hard, and they do a tremendous job. And so we're very happy to be here. We're very happy to talk to you about it. You know, there's some crazy and very stupid people that are doing very stupid things, and I'm happy to talk about it because nobody else wants to talk about it. You're not going to hear it on the fake news, but you're definitely going to hear it here, which is why we decided to join. That much I can tell you.
Well, President Trump, can you just give me your thoughts on Adam Schiff? I mean, as all these new revelations come out, tell me, I guess, give me just your honest, no holds barred thoughts on Adam Schiff.
Well, Adam Schiff is a pencil neck. He's a watermelon head. He's another stupid guy. You know, you look at his neck and you look at the size of his head. He's got bug eyes, but you look at his neck and you look at the size of his head. And this is what we call an engineering miracle. I've built a lot of buildings. I've built a lot of structures in my day. None of them would have been able to stand up the way Adam Schiff's neck is able to prop up his big watermelon head. I would call it a big, beautiful watermelon head, but it's not beautiful. He's an ugly person and a stupid person. And he's in a lot of trouble. You know, he says he lives in one place, and then he says he lives in another place. We call that mortgage fraud. You're not allowed to do that. Just like Sasquatch, I call her Sasquatch, Letitia James. She looks like Sasquatch, and she has something called atchiophobia disease. One eye looking at you, one eye looking for you, right? You see what's going on? She has a problem. She's got a lot of problems. But these people, they have a lot of problems, and Schiff has a lot of problems. But he's a watermelon head. He's a bug eyes. He's a pencil neck. And hopefully soon he'll be an inmate somewhere with other people who really would enjoy it if he drops the soap. That much I can tell you.
All right. Well, that's no holds barred commentary there. Thank you for that, President Trump, because that was exactly the kind of commentary I was looking for. Well, folks, it's actually, I've got to make an announcement. It's not actually President Trump. It is Sean Farish, probably the greatest Trump impersonator I've ever seen. And Sean, I want to thank you for joining me on the show today.
Neil, thank you. We've been trying to set this up for a while, and I'm happy that that we were able to catch each other at the right time today. I'm excited, so thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm gonna play a clip since we're talking about Adam Schiff. I want to get into this Governor Newsom story because I actually think it's huge. Because one thing that you'll see is the Democrats are continually destroying everything, and I think I've seen President Trump do something this last election, which I was actually pretty happy with. A lot of people weren't, but he kind of downplayed certain things he was going to do, which the Democrats have always done. And then they come in, like, think Barack Obama's term and think Obamacare and how he just upended everything. And Trump just kind of downplayed everything, just took that campaign right into winning. And then now he is just doing more than any other president I've ever seen do in the history of this country. I mean, it's just wild to watch. And I'm actually glad he played it that way. As opposed to saying everything he was going to do ahead of time. Because I don't know that he did do everything he said he was going to do so far, though, which has been just glorious to me. I mean, the border, we have had zero releases in the last 3 months, which is phenomenal. But I'm going to share this clip from Adam Schiff. Actually, I don't know if you know Clip Keeper on X, but Dyson Gray, he does a great job, and he's got these clips of Adam Schiff I want to share with you here.
Significant evidence, much of it in the public domain, on the issue of collusion.
You have seen direct evidence of collusion.
I don't want to go into specifics, but I will say that there is evidence that is not circumstantial.
He doesn't have direct This guy is just, they mince words like this all the time. All the time. It is just a word. It's just a play on words. It is plausible deniabilities. People make me sick, Sean.
Yeah, direct evidence. This is back when Chuck Todd was on NBC. Trump actually praised Chuck Todd today and said he's a free man now, and is I did not have Donald Trump praising Chuck Todd on my 2025 bingo card, but I am here for it. I don't like Chuck Todd. I think maybe he's saving face. But again, this is a voice that the left really used to trust. So any little bit of oopsie truth telling from Chuck is very beneficial to us. That's for sure.
Yes, absolutely. I was kind of surprised too when I saw that today, President Trump praising Chuck Todd, and I was like, wow. Here we go. I'll play a little more.
There is circumstantial evidence of collusion.
There is circumstantial evidence, certainly, of collusion or coordination. There's also abundant circumstantial evidence.
All you have right now is a circumstantial case.
Actually, no, Chuck. I can tell you that the case is more than that. And
yeah, interestingly enough, he says that. And I'm going to bring in now what we, kind of the big news, Sean. This is straight from the Federal Bureau of Investigation. These are the papers talking about what Adam Schiff and his staff discussed. This has been, the prominent news, I think, out there right now, certainly on, X, maybe not in the mainstream media because they don't like covering this necessarily. They like Adam Schiff. But I think it's interesting right here in this meeting, Schiff stated the group would leak classified information which was derogatory to the president of the United States, Donald J. Trump. Schiff stated that the information would be used to indict President Trump. And then so-and-so. And I think, who is the person who said this? Somebody used AI to figure it out, who the staffer was. Did you see that?
I didn't see who it was. I did see that there was a staffer turned whistleblower that also alluded to the idea that Adam Schiff was promised by Hillary Clinton, or at least he was suggested that he would become the next CIA director if she won the election. Talk about dodging a bullet. I mean, could you imagine if that guy was in charge of the CIA, how effed we would be right now?
No.
I mean, I when I read that last night, I was like, like I literally stopped dead in my tracks going, okay, yes. Like the deep state's bad. It would have been like unrecognizable if that had happened. So my goodness.
Yeah. I mean, we think Brennan's bad and Clapper's bad. And, all these people are, they're bad. They're awful. But Adam Schiff, is there anybody worse than Adam Schiff? Every time I do a poll, Sean, and I'm like, who do you most want to see in prison? He is always one or two on that poll.
He has to be. He made up during Trump impeachment #1, the first impeachment hoax. Like he made up testimony on the floor of the Senate. The guy and okay, so take mortgage fraud out of the equation. And I'm not saying he shouldn't be held accountable for it, because if you or I did that, we would be held accountable for it. Yeah. And they're public servants. They're below us technically on the on the totem pole when it comes to the levels, right, of society. They're supposed to serve us, right? Yes. And they've got it backwards, and a lot of them turn their jobs into celebrity positions, and this happens on both sides, by the way. So it's not just a Democrat thing, but Schiff has done that, and it's wrong, and it's wrong for anybody to do it. But I mean, take the mortgage fraud thing and just sideline that just for a second. Not that we're getting rid of it, but just for a second. This guy tried to overturn an election, and we're told that is an insurrection and you can be in jail for 20 years. Like this guy tried to take away, and it's not just the 2016 election, by the way. All of those appearances on mainstream media, right? Whether it was Chuck Todd, whomever else he was on with in that montage from Clipkeeper, who's actually an amazing account on X, by the way. But all of those other appearances that he did, they used all of that, circumstantial evidence and speculation to interfere in 4 straight election cycles. Okay. They tried it in 2016. They used it in 2018 during the midterms all of those Democrats are running on impeaching Trump over the Russia probe, which was illegitimate, right?
Yes.
They used it in 2020 to try and debunk the Hunter Biden laptop. They called it Russian disinformation as a callback to the whole Russia hoax in the first place. Basically like to say, look, Trump's doing it again. He's working with Russia. And they dragged that out into 2022. So they used this in 4 straight election cycles to interfere in U.S. elections. There's really nobody worse than Adam Schiff. I mean, there may be a few. You want to say Hillary, you want to say Obama. There are some, but like this guy, in terms of being like this whole scandal with Russia, he's the worst of the worst, in my opinion.
A total scumbag, like complete, unadulterated liar. Well, you know, it's interesting because we saw. Did you see that thing floating around today about Chuck Schumer and the invented couple?
No, I didn't see that.
Oh gosh, I'm gonna find this for you, Sean, because this is wild. I mean, we talk about, you know, who's the worst liar, right? And there's always like a contest here, and you're going, well, who really is the worst? But Chuck Schumer has basically been talking about a couple that he has invented for the last, I don't know, 30 years. And he references them all the time, but they don't exist. It's incredible. I'm gonna find this thing. Where is it? President Trump? No. Well, here I talk. What are your President Trump has plunged the world into chaos? Yeah, why am I having trouble finding it now? Of course, when I want to find it, it's just. I can't, but I'm gonna find it here. But I'm gonna actually get into this real quick, and then we'll come back to it. Have you heard about the Gavin Newsom issue here? I've got to go. This one. Where did it go? Right here. Have you heard about this? Gavin Newsom, climate warrior, flinches as California's war against oil produces a crisis. This is a common Democrat playbook. They produce crises, right? And then they always say, never let a good crisis go to waste. But then they're trying to recover before the midterm elections right now. So he now finds himself pleading with the beleaguered and vilified industry not to abandon the state. The oil industry has Newsom over a barrel. That's the headline of a new political piece about California's chief executive, Gavin Newsom, who is now grappling with stark realities that the Golden State, a fuel reserve mecca, is becoming a self-induced energy desert. It's a fitting, if not inevitable, reckoning for a governor who spent years leading the Democrat Party's scorched earth crusade against fossil fuels, only to find himself now pleading with the beleaguered and vilified industry to not abandon the state. The flinching from Sacramento comes as oppressive, expensive policies have resulted in Phillips 66 and Valero announcing they're shutting off their state-based oil refineries. Even a self-proclaimed climate change crusader like Newsom realizes the deleterious consequences of less fuel for Californians' millions of gas-dependent vehicles and the skyrocketing of already outrageous gas prices for ever-beleaguered California residents, which is why he's pressing the California Energy Commission to cut the refineries slack to forestall their close. Have you spent much time in California?
I have not spent much time in California myself. I grew up in New York, though, so I kind of know what it's like. And you mentioned this is a common Democrat playbook. It is. And it's really funny. I remember back in 2022, when the whole Russia-Ukraine thing started, and you had the push from AOC and the radical left and Buttigieg talking about, well, everyone should just buy an electric car. And that was one of the dumbest, right? One of the dumbest things you could tell people to do. Because it's unfortunate because people like AOC believe that electricity comes from the wall. She doesn't know how it gets there, but she thinks that it just comes from the outlet, right? She thinks you plug things in, there's a little electric fairy that's rubbing her hands together, and you have now electricity. Well, when you look up on, and it was our own government statistics, and I did this back in 2022, and I think I did this recently also. You look up where our energy and electricity is produced and from what sources. 2/3 almost of our electricity in the United States is produced by the combustion of fossil fuels. So if you're telling people to buy an electric car and 2/3 of the electricity that they charge their cars with is produced by burning more fossil fuels, in order for the grid to be able to handle how much electricity is going to be needed for everybody to charge their EVs, we're going to have to burn more fossil fuels, because the bulk of our energy comes from burning fossil fuels. They didn't realize this. They're like, oh, everyone just buy an electric car and then we can really stick it to Russia. It's like, how about, we stop buying Russian oil? We convince Europe to stop buying Russian oil. We produce the oil. They buy it from us. We produce it and use it for ourselves. And Russia falls by the wayside. They say, well, no, we have to get away from fossil fuels as a whole. That's not going to help you do it, because 2/3 of our electricity comes from burning fossil fuels. So these people, and like we saw in California a couple of years ago, also, they were dealing with rolling blackouts. They had to use coal-powered plants and fossil fuel-powered plants in order to keep power on. The emergency generators are powered by fossil fuels, so they had to resort to fossil fuels, which they should have just done in the first place. There would have been no blackouts. It was like the fossil fuel plants were used to power and deliver energy to all of these green, energy production plants. So you're using fossil fuels to keep the green stuff alive anyway. It makes no sense. These people, no matter what they do, it makes no sense. You had people yesterday in D.C. protesting Donald Trump saying, yeah, we're going to stop your cars from being stolen. Yes. They're like, no, I want my car to be stolen. What are you doing? What are you talking about? I don't get it.
Do you know what they're
one woman was like, we're not going where the alligators are.
I know. I played that video. Do you know what they're really scared about? What they're actually scared about is that Trump's policies are going to work and America is going to feel the effect of them. That's what they're so scared about. It's not that they're scared about people being somehow marginalized or whatever word they want to use. They're scared that this is going to work and they're going to lose in perpetuity. You talk about AOC, right? Thinking electricity was coming out of the wall. It's like the people who think that beef comes from the supermarket.
Right. Good point. Trump in D.C., this is the best thing that he's doing. He's going to get it fixed quickly. You mentioned the border at the beginning of the show, right? He's going to get this done he's going to get this done quickly at D.C. It's not hard. You crack down on crime? Crack down on crime. That's all you have to do. Deliver, because your best deterrent to keep criminals from committing crime, or would-be criminals from committing crime, are consequences. That's your best deterrent, okay? People don't rob banks. There's a lot of money in banks. You would think everyone would want to rob the bank, steal all the money. The reason why people don't rob the bank is because if they get caught robbing the bank, they've thrown their life away, or at least a significant portion of their life away. The consequences are harsh enough to keep people from committing that crime as frequently as they would if the consequences were, not harsh. Okay. So when he, and legally is allowed to do this, federalizes Washington, D.C. and starts levying harsh consequences on the criminals, it will deter future criminals from committing those crimes. And you'll see the city cleaned up fairly quickly. Is it ever going to be a utopian paradise? No. Is anything ever going to be a utopian paradise? No. I live in Tennessee. It's one of the reddest states in the country. There's crime here. There's not a lot compared to New York, but there's crime here. There's going to always be, there's always going to be somebody doing something wrong, but the frequency is what we're looking to control in D.C. Donald Trump is going to do it. He's going to give the country the playbook and the formula in order for this to be replicated in other blue cities across the country, okay? Whether it's Los Angeles, whether it's Oakland, San Francisco, Chicago, New York, Philadelphia, Atlanta, Minneapolis, etc. He's going to outwardly, like out in the open, publicly say, here's what I did. Okay. The Democrats know what he is going to do is going to work. But what you're going to see is you're going to watch these leaders in these jurisdictions, these cities, Sherelle Parker, Eric Adams, Zohran Mamdani, Gavin Newsom, people in San Francisco, Pritzker, Brandon Johnson, etc. All of these people who are in charge of these blue states, blue cities, intentionally ignore and do the opposite of Donald Trump's playbook that was successful. Right. So it's like if somebody taught you how to make fire, okay, but you really hated that person. And they were like, Neil, if you rub two sticks together really fast, they'll get hot. And then the coal drops down into, your little tinder ball and it starts to smoke. And then you blow on it and you have created fire.
And you're like, yeah, but I hate that person. I'm going to pour water on it and make fire my way. Like, you're never going to get fire. And you know it. You know it. Even though you don't like the guy, he's showing you how to make the lives of your constituents better. And he's going to show everybody. And they're going to, because they have TDS, they're going to intentionally do the opposite. And things are going to get, if you believe it, worse in those cities because of it. So I've urged a lot of my friends who still live in New York, around the city, near the city, get out. They're going to, as a protest for Donald Trump, make their cities even worse and say, oh, you thought this was soft on crime? Now there is no crime because nothing's illegal. Things like that is coming. Like,
they'll double down. They'll triple down.
It's going to be bad. But this is the best thing that Trump is doing, is he's showing everybody how easy it is. How easy it is for them to do it too. And they're not going to do it. This is going to hurt them. And this is perfect timing. We are 14 months out of the midterms. And Republicans always win on that message of low crime. Look at how easy it was to fix the border. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see this whole thing play out. I'm not excited for any friends of mine, though, who live in those cities.
No, I live in Minnesota, obviously a blue state, and it sucks. I mean, and the reality is, Sean, if I've looked at the election data out of Hennepin County, and they are honestly expecting us to believe that 110,000 more people voted for Joe Biden than Barack Obama, the most exciting candidate that they have ever had, okay, in the last 40 years. So they've got Barack Obama, and we're talking an increase, because we're only talking 300 some odd thousand votes, going up to 400 some odd thousand. It was an increase of like 110 or 120,000 votes. I don't have the numbers right in front of me, but it was right in that realm. It was over like a 33% increase in vote share. And there's no way I believe it. I mean, and I live down there. I watched some of the fraud that took place in the Twin Cities. Now I live way up in northern Minnesota, off the grid. Coincidentally, you're talking about that green energy scam. So I live off the grid with solar panels, right? And so I know that there is a loss of energy that happens between charging my batteries and dispensing the power out of my batteries. So they talk about storage. It works for me because we use our power during the day when the sun is shining. But see, the thing is, most people are not at home during the day when the sun is shining. So the major power consumption comes in those evening or morning hours. You know, they got their coffee makers going in the morning. They've got their washer and dryer going at night, and so on. And so that's when the power is needed. And while the grid's producing that, and I can't even store all the power I get during the day into my batteries, it gets wasted because I just can't use it enough. Now in the winter, I'll run electric space heaters. Well, I'm off the grid, like totally off the grid. I'm not connected to the grid tied or anything. But this lunacy of thinking that solar is the solution for everything, or wind, that site polluting crap, is the answer to everything, just blows my mind. In the winter here in November, I'm running that generator all the time because there's no sun. There's no freaking sun in Minnesota in November. So I'm sitting there just cranking that generator up every morning, and it's just there. So there's an efficiency loss. And when we had rolling brownouts, blackouts here in Minnesota, this is a few years ago, and I was interviewing the chair of the Energy Committee of the Minnesota State House on the same day that was happening. And he told me that it takes as much power as an average house just to keep those windmills up, and the power gets diverted to them first because they have to keep the oil warm. There's all these processes to keep that windmill, even when it's not moving, able to be used. And it's the same amount of power as an average home. So you've got thousands of windmills in southern Minnesota. So basically you're taking a whole big city and having to power it just to keep the oil warm and whatever else needed for these windmills. It's insanity. You found this though, Sean. I got to share this because this is absolutely incredible. Okay. This is that Chuck Schumer live video I was telling you folks about. So we talk about
imaginary couple, right?
Yes. This is insane. I won't play the whole thing, but I'll just give you the gist of it.
And that's John Oliver, right? Who is that?
I don't know
who's that guy?
Who the guy is. It's is that John Oliver? I don't know.
No. Is it? I don't know who that is. Let me see.
Let me see it. doesn't even say here, but he tells a story about a Long Island couple, and he's been doing this for years. Check this. Got over one mention of this couple for every page in the book, and they don't exist. And he's been doing it since 2007. And it gets crazier because he's invented this thing about baseball caps and baseball games and everything. The proficiency by which they lie. Sean, there's a thing in psychology, and I don't know if this is where Chuck Schumer's at, but eventually people start to believe their own lies.
Yeah.
Is he there? Are the Baileys real in his mind now?
They might be at this point because he's gone about it so many times and said it so many times. But here's that is John Oliver, by the way. And the craziest part about that clip, and it's like this, there have been a number of that, and I'm not exactly sure how recent that one has been. That clip was, but there's been a bunch of this. Kristen Welker grilling JB Pritzker, which I got a laugh out of that because JB, we call him JB. It stands for Jiggly Belly. You look at him; he's a very big guy, right? But you see him in his. Now this camera is zoomed in. I'm not obviously a very large person, but JB's box on NBC News, he filled up the whole box. You're not supposed to do that, right? I mean, you're supposed to leave a little bit of room. But she grilled him over redistricting. Colbert grilled Jiggly Belly over redistricting.
I saw that.
I mean, you're starting to see a little bit these people on the left be like, yeah, but like, don't you do this too? Like, so John Oliver, the fact that he didn't just ignore the fact that Chuck Schumer made up a couple for his entire political career and poked fun at it instead, I think it's a sign. I think it's a sign that the Overton window may be shifting a little bit. And again, I'm not putting my faith or any stock in John Oliver or Kristen Welker or Stephen Colbert or Chuck Todd. I'm just saying these are things you wouldn't have seen 4, 5, 6 years ago. They would have run in. I mean, Chuck Todd had Adam Schiff on there saying, "Oh wow, you have, like a barking seal. You've got evidence of collusion. Wow." When there was no evidence, like taking Adam Schiff's word for it. Now you had Chuck Todd on CNN a couple days ago going, "Yeah, it's just a bad look for Democrats if they're protesting gerrymandering to run to Illinois, one of the worst examples of this in the country." Yes. And then Jiggly Belly making the rounds on the media, and they're asking him a question that he had to know he was going to get, right? Like, well, if it's so bad, why do you do it? Right? Yes. And he was like, well, Texas is doing it outside of the cycle. Well, guess what? They're allowed to. In their state constitution, they're allowed to. And the United States Constitution explicitly gives the state legislative bodies the authority to draw their congressional maps. It doesn't set a time frame. So, it's unbelievable. You mentioned their ability to lie and lie well. And do they believe their own lies? Like, did Jerry Nadler a few years ago believe the lie that he told when he said Antifa is a myth, that it wasn't real? Like, did he believe that? Or was he just saying it to get rid of people, right? So, I mean, I think to an extent, probably a little bit on both sides. Some of the lies they do believe. Like, there are some Democrats, Neil, I believe, absolutely, they still, doesn't matter what you put in front of them, they believe Donald Trump colluded with Russia. Nothing will ever change their mind. They believe it. It happened in their eyes, even though it's a lie, right? And then there are some people who know they're lying, but are saying it because it could be potentially advantageous for a narrative to be forced down everyone's throats.
Yes. Do it's interesting when you talk about that, because this is a danger for both sides. And I'm not going to play the game of moral equivalent, whatever what I'm trying to say, but moral equivalency. But the issue is, like, I asked people, because I started this channel in November of 2020, and I went down the road of every aspect of the election, and the channel was at 2 strikes 3 times, and I just had to stop producing content, all of that. But you can't tell me what I don't know about 2020. Okay. But I did ask people, I said, let me ask you a question. Say all the information we knew was actually false, and it was provable that it was false. Okay. Would that change your mind? And a bunch of people in my chat were like, no. There's a point at which we can get so locked into a narrative that no matter what the facts are, facts be damned, we're just going to believe what we want to believe. And
Right.
I think that's just something that you need to stay away from. You have to be able to look at information and make, one of the things I've actually appreciated about you, Sean, and if folks want to follow you on X, what's your handle? I follow you, but what's the exact handle?
It's X. It's at Sean first name and then an underscore and then my last name, Farish. Yeah.
Okay.
That's where it is.
So, follow him on X. He's got great content. But one of the things I've appreciated about you is you've been pretty, consistent on the things you believe, even if you disagree with Trump, which I think is healthy. I tend to agree with him. I've come to the conclusion with Trump that I always have to just let things set a week if I start disagreeing with him and see how things start shaking out, because I've been proven wrong disagreeing with him so much. It's like I tell this story about a roundabout in my city. We live in Hibbing, Minnesota. It's a small town on the Iron Range of northern Minnesota, largest open pit iron ore mine in the world. But there's a major intersection where 169, US Highway 169, takes a hard left turn. And it was stoplights. And then they put in a roundabout. While they were putting in the roundabout, I was just complaining about it. I'm like, I can't believe they're putting in this stupid roundabout here. I love that roundabout now. Like, it is so much more efficient. I used to have to wait at that left turn arrow for 5 minutes. Now I just zip right on through the thing. And it was funny because I was talking about it while my kids were in the car. And so then when I started liking it, I told my kids, I was so wrong about this roundabout. 100% completely wrong. I had some preconceived idea. I don't like the European model. I was relating it to Europe. I was all this different stuff. And I said, I am 100% wrong. This is the greatest thing to ever happen in this city. I no longer have to wait at this left turn arrow. Well, what you're talking about with the Democrats, I want to share this clip with you. You may or may not have seen this. I don't know if you saw Kirsten Welker interviewing Eric Holder, but they need to gerrymander to save the democracy, even though it's a threat to the democracy. The problem is there's no juice left to squeeze there because they've already gerrymandered the snot. Like Illinois has no Republican seats, does it?
Or it has 3 out of 17. Okay.
3 out of 17.
But think of it this way. All right. So they want to talk about democracy and equal representation and all that. Donald Trump and the Republicans got approximately 44% of the vote in Illinois, but they only have 17% of the congressional representation out of Illinois. Moreover, okay, when you look at New Hampshire, Vermont, Rhode Island, Connecticut, and Massachusetts up there in the Northeast, the average, and it varies state to state, but the average is around 40% Republican, okay, in terms of the vote share that they're getting. 0 congressional seats in all 5 of those states combined. There are 19 seats between New Hampshire, Vermont, Connecticut, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island. Granted, 2 of those states have only 1 seat. Okay. So I think Vermont has 1 seat. Rhode Island has 1 seat. They're small states, but Massachusetts, Connecticut, and New Hampshire, they've got a bunch of, New Hampshire, maybe the one, I'm not sure who. There are 2 states out of that. New Hampshire's 2. Yeah. 2. New Hampshire's 2. Yeah. New Hampshire's 2.
Note that New Hampshire consistently elects Republicans. Their
governors are Republican.
Is Republican. Yeah, she's not really a Republican, but yeah,
no,
she does.
And same with Vermont. Vermont has a Republican governor too. The point of the matter is they talk about this gerrymandering thing as if it's a threat to democracy. And you look at these Democrat states, like the 5 I just mentioned, there's not a single Republican representative in Congress in any of those states, despite Republicans earning 40% of the vote share. Illinois, Republicans get 44% of the vote share. They are getting 17% representation in Illinois.
Like I say, there's no juice left to squeeze. So all of a sudden, Gavin Newsom was on X talking about, oh, well, we can play that game because South Dakota, Wyoming, North Dakota, he's listing these states that have 1 stupid seat. They have one congressional seat. It's an at-large seat. Alaska, Wyoming, Wyoming's got 1. South Dakota's got
1. And that used to be Liz Cheney, right? But now it's Harriet Hageman. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So here, but I'm going to play this for the audience, play the first few minutes of it here so you can see. This is Eric Holder talking about using gerrymandering. Even though it's bad, they have to use it to save the republic. Well, they say democracy. Oh, no. Hold on. They're going to play an ad. This is off Real Clear Politics.
Welcome back. Joining me now is former U.S. Attorney General under President Obama, Eric Holder. Mr. Holder, welcome back to Meet the Press.
Good to see you.
It's great to see you. Thank you so much for being here.
Just real quick, did you watch how she welcomed him on the show? Yeah. Compare that to how she talks to Donald Trump.
Right.
We have a former AG versus the current president of the United States, and look at how much she loves this guy. It just
fawning all over him. Fawning all over him.
Oh, you're beautiful. I can't believe she didn't ask him on a date right there.
Yeah, propose.
I want to start off by asking you this morning, the homepage of the group you lead, the National Democratic Redistricting Committee, says, quote, "There is no off-season in redistricting. Gerrymandering poses a critical threat to our democracy." But now you're arguing that Democrats are going to have to use gerrymandering, quote, in order to save our democracy. So let me ask you, how can gerrymandering both be a threat to democracy and also the way to save it?
Well, there's no question that gerrymandering is a threat to our democracy. It allows politicians to pick their voters as opposed to citizens choosing their representatives.
Okay, well, hold on. Just listen to what he just said there, based upon what you just said before. 40% representation, 17% of the seats. Oh, this is a threat to democracy because it allows politicians to determine representation instead of the citizens.
Oh, my God.
Remember Fast and Furious?
The cognitive dissonance necessary to be a Democrat is off the charts. It's off the charts, right? And it applies in every single arena. The cognitive dissonance that now they don't like inflation, even though it's low. They're like, inflation bad. Where were you when everything 9%, 10% inflation under Biden? They were like, there's no inflation. What? So I'm just imagining. What am I just paying more in the supermarkets for fun? These people are out of their minds. They're just completely out of their minds. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane.
And they'll never admit when they're wrong. No, and you mentioned this before. You didn't like the roundabout. Now you like the roundabout, right? And yes. I'll do this, right? I'll look at, for instance, let's say the tariffs that Donald Trump put in place sent inflation through the roof. I would go, all right, you know what? I had the wrong idea about this. This is ridiculous. But that's not what's happening. So all of the experts who are like, it's the end of the world as we know it, right? REM. And there were like the sky is falling and inflation, Jerome Powell, this whole thing. They're not going to be like, oh yeah, we got this wrong. They're using confirmation bias, kicking the can down the road and going, no, it's coming. These people will tell you that water is dry. You could push them into a swimming pool. They could be soaking wet and be like, I just pushed you into the water. See how wet it is? And you're like, no, I'm still dry. Like these people that's how crazy these people are. Some of them can't be convinced.
Okay, here, I got to mention my sponsor really quick. I got to have you, Sean. Do you know what Donald Trump's favorite product is?
Probably McDonald's.
No. Use the sheets, my
pillow. Okay.
So anyhow, mypillow.com/lumberjack, folks, for big savings on the best sleep products available. You can also call the 800 number at 1-800-568-2865. We get the best deals because we're one of the top 3 for Mike Lindell in the nation. Giza sheets right now are $69.98. President Trump, what do you think of Giza sheets?
Well, I think they're fantastic, and we're also going to do Gaza sheets very soon. We're going to turn it. We're going to sheet the hell out of it. We're going to turn it into a sheet of glass, if we want. Maybe we will. Maybe we won't. But we love the Giza sheets. I got along very well with the Giza people. Egypt, we do very well with them. I built the pyramids with my own 2 hands. I built the Sphinx. We love the Sphinx, and I got along very well with King Tut. Right, Tutankhamun. I called him Tut for short. Great guy.
Great guy. Okay, go check it out, folks. That was awesome. I was dying. The Gaza sheet of glass. What is up with everybody hating on Israel?
Oh, I don't know. I don't. You know what? I used to talk a lot about it, and it's become such a toxic topic that it's just like I get it. Like, I get it. I don't like foreign aid. I understand, but like, it's become more than that. It's become more than that. You know, I mean, it's this. People call it J pilling, and I'm like, all right, what's the J stand for? And you're like, Jews. And I go, okay, so it's not about Israel then. It's about Jews. Okay, like that's what it's about. I get it. I don't like foreign aid. My biggest. I used to scream this from the rooftops. My ideal foreign aid budget would be $0.00, donuts across the board. No foreign aid anywhere. As long as there's a veteran in my country who can't get a meal, who doesn't have a home, we should not be sending a dime to anywhere else. We should fix those problems first. That being said, okay, is that realistic? Probably not. Is it practical right now? Probably not. So we got to try and shoot for the next best. The whole people hating on Israel, it's not about the government of Israel. I don't like Netanyahu. I don't trust him. He has the name Dick Cheney of the Middle East, the nickname Dick Cheney of the Middle East for a reason. He's too war happy. I get it. I'm with a lot of these people on that. However, people start referring to it as a genocide and all this, and I'm like, I think we might be going a little too far, right? They start throwing out numbers that are put out there by the Gaza Health Ministry, and I'm like, okay, who runs that? Like Hamas. I'm like, okay, would you trust NBC if they put out numbers about the Democrat Party? Right? One and the same, right? Right? No, it's not the same thing. I mean, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, all right. So there's no talking to that type. I think it's healthy to have a conversation about how much foreign aid we send to any country, whether it's Israel, Ukraine, NATO, the Congo, wherever countries I haven't even heard of. Totally healthy to have that conversation. And I am with you on less is more. However, it's very clear to me that a lot of the people who are very critical of Israel right now are not stopping at the Israeli government. They throw around the term Jew as an insult, which means they believe it's bad to be Jewish. I'm not about to cry anti-Semitism, and I'm not saying these people should be banned from the internet. As a matter of fact, I like when they talk because we can all see how they feel instead of them going underground. Yes. Less is better in terms of foreign aid. I'd rather send nothing to any country. Like, I'm there. But the veil, I think, is coming off. And I think it's less about Israel and more about the culture, the religion, and it's about just Jews, right? Which to me, at least be honest with everybody. Like, look, I don't like someone like Stu Peters. This is me talking. I don't like Stu Peters. I think he's sensational. I don't think he's great, about a lot of things. The Died Suddenly vaccine thing was a good documentary, but I don't necessarily trust him. He's at least honest. He's just like, I don't like Jews. I'm like, okay, well, at least you're just out there honest, right? Yes. There are some people who are hiding behind the idea where it's like, oh no, it's just the Israeli government. But then they start pointing at every media company in the country and they're like, but it's run by Jews. And I'm like, so it's not the Israeli government, right? So it's just wild.
It is wild. And I think when you look at, the attacks of October 7th and you're going to try and prop Hamas up, it blows my mind. I want to share something you shared on your X account today, because this goes right in line with what you were talking about with the tariffs. And it is this clip here. So CNN on the new inflation numbers better than expected. So once again, tariffs didn't end the world. Will the experts admit they were wrong yet? Check this out. This is on CNN.
All right, and breaking just moments ago, a very new, very important new data out from the federal government on the economy. The July CPI report just out shows that U.S. inflation was up just 0.2% last month. Let's get to CNN's Vanessa Yurkevich, who's got much more detail and much more of what is inside these numbers. What are you seeing?
A tamer inflation report despite President Trump's tariffs. This is better than expected. Month over month, as you mentioned, up 0.2%. On an annual basis, up 2.7% in July. That's also what we saw on an annual basis for the month of June. When you look at the key categories that we always look at, energy, food, and shelter, energy fell by 1.1%. That was largely...
Okay, look at this. Energy falling 1.1%. Energy will affect the price of everything.
Yep.
Everything.
Yep.
I mean,
it impacts the cost of doing business. It impacts the cost of shipping. It impacts everything.
And it's down 1.1% for July. Okay, I'll let it keep going.
driven because of gas prices falling in the month of July by 2.2%. Look at that food. I mean, this is where people spend their money, right? Food every single day. Food flat, 0%, and actually down at the grocery store by 0.1%. And then shelter, we always usually see an increase because that is what people are paying on rent. And we know that rents are rising. That is usually the biggest share of this report. But when we look at core inflation, this is where we're starting to see some of those price increases. Okay. Core inflation actually came in hotter than expected. So
now she's going to go on to core inflation. Now, interestingly enough, the inflation that we as Americans are concerned about are the food, the energy, and the housing. It's the things that we actually have to buy. You can sit there and tell me your iPhone costs as much with all these features and it's actually a better deal. And so it means inflation's going down because it's what we hear from some of these Wall Street goons. Okay. But that doesn't matter to people. If they can't eat, if they don't have a roof over their heads, and if they can't get to work because they can't put the gas in the tank. And this is what's always been hidden in inflation. I mean, energy has been discounted out of inflation. So is food, you know, in some of those numbers. It's just anything that's too volatile, they don't want in there. Healthcare. And these are the things that healthcare is a whole different topic. I have so much to say on that. I mean, it just blows my mind that we are that addicted to health insurance in this country and that addicted to prescription drugs. Really blows my mind.
It's a mess. That's a mess. And you know what's crazy? Just on the drugs thing for a second. You know, there's all these drug commercials on television, and the only one I like is Jardiance because it has the catchy theme song, the catchy jingle. But now they've ruined that song, so now I'm like, take it off the TV. No, all these side effects. You know, and I'm listening to it. It's like may cause antidepressants may cause suicidal thoughts. Isn't that the point of the antidepressant? Like to stop. I hear, and I'll tell you what. I mean, benign, right? I've never been addicted to a drug in my life. But about a month ago, I was doing my live stream, and I kept losing my voice during the live stream. Like it was to the point where like I was straining. I could taste blood. It was really nasty. And I'm drinking tea, I'm drinking honey, I'm doing everything everyone, you know, going down the Steven Tyler of Aerosmith route, you know, herbal tea, honey, taking care of I went to school for radio. Like I know how to take care of my voice. Right. So, and I'm going, what is it? I thought I was dealing with the worst allergies in the world. I thought there was something in my air ducts. I thought I was taking too much Zyrtec. Okay. Like the Zyrtec, the allergy medication. One of the side effects was like dry mouth, and it dried me. I thought I needed to take more Zyrtec to help with what I thought was allergies. It's actually a side effect of the drug. I stopped taking it. Everything is better. I don't even need to drink tea during my show anymore. I could do 4 hours of radio and not be in pain. I'm sitting there going, holy. So you mentioned we're addicted to healthcare, health insurance, and we're addicted to prescription drugs, but we're also addicted to not prescription drugs. I know people who live on ibuprofen, live on it. They can't get through a day without taking ibuprofen. I'm like, what? Why do you want that to be like? I get migraines about 5 times a week. It's just what happens. It's the worst. Yes. There are times I'm just like, I'm going to fight through it. I'm going to fight, or I'm going to take something not over the counter like drug. I'll take something like herbal, natural, whatever, to try because I don't want to keep putting that crap in my body.
I know.
You just get addicted to that. So, okay, fine. You don't have a headache for a few hours, but then you got to keep eating ibuprofen like it's candy. It's not good.
No, I go elk hunting every fall, Sean. And this last year I broke my wrist. I flipped my mountain bike out there, and, you know, it hurt. It hurt. And the hospital's like, oh, well, we can give you whatever you want here for pain. And I'm like, no, that's okay. And they said, well, do you want to at least take some ibuprofen? I said, I'll probably get a few ibuprofen. So I took ibuprofen for a few days, and that was it. I don't want that crap, but it was bad. And I was moving through the woods because I had to go back out because my buddy, you know, we're out there hunting together. I'm not bailing on this trip. We're 12 miles deep in the mountains. You know, we had to run out and go to town, get a splint or whatever, but get it x-rayed. But I broke my ribs mountain biking this year. And again, I took ibuprofen for a couple of days, and then that was it. And
one of the commenters in the chat actually said inflammation, which is the cause of Pappy 7064 said inflammation, which is the cause of many illnesses, can be controlled by diet, which is so true.
It is.
I have been practicing keto for a long time. That actually helps my migraines. And I discovered it on accident, helping a friend diet. I was like doing it as moral support. I was like, all right, we'll see what happens. I'll cut carbs, this whole thing. And like my migraine frequency started to decrease. And I've noticed that everything hurts less when I'm in ketosis, right? If I have, I hurt my knee about 7 years ago, that lingering, pain is less, right? My back hurts a little less. It's not that I do anything labor intensive or crazy work, but like if I'm going to go and if I start a workout routine, a lot of the joints and stuff, inflammation around that will hurt a little less. I'll be able to have a little more energy. So a lot of it is what you put in. And I'm sure the meat that I eat is not necessarily the best and there's hormones in it, the whole thing. But it's better than eating like that ultra processed stuff. But a lot of the problems that in this country is that everyone believes they're sick. Okay. Everyone. And there are a lot of people who are sick. I don't want to, but everyone's like, I got to take something for this. And I'm like, maybe a lifestyle change, maybe a few different personal choices. Stop drinking. Right. I drink beer. I drink it occasionally. But if I go back 10 years, it would have taken me probably 2 days to get through a 36 pack. Now it took me 2 months, right? So I'm like, fine. I used to party, whatever. I'm 34 now. It's a little different. But some people, they smoke cigarettes and, my chest, I should take this. I'm like, maybe stop smoking. Maybe try something different. My stomach hurts all the time. Like, what have you been eating? You eat a lot of potato chips and processed, maybe stop doing that. Just dial it back just a little bit, right? Soda. Yeah. If you cut soda,
oh gosh,
everybody, you'll lose like 20 pounds.
Yeah,
gone. It's going to be gone like that. So yeah, a lot of it is you are what you eat, and that I love it. I got this Blackstone grill. I just reseasoned it, sausage and peppers, pork chops. So I don't do beef because that is still a little too expensive, right? And although being accused of being paid by Israel to post things, I have not gotten a single check. I don't know where it is. If BB's lost my address or something, but that
is Israeli money.
Yeah, like where's that APAC money I hear so much about, right? No, So, but I have been doing that for years. And I love it. It's a little restrictive. It's tough. Like I miss ice cream. I make my own, a little heavy cream, little cocoa powder, some stevia. It's good enough. But it's one of those things where, like you mentioned, being addicted to health insurance, being addicted to prescription drugs, and I think non-prescription drugs. And by the way, there are things that we eat that are essentially drug-like. Sugar is one of the most addictive substances on the planet.
Yes.
It activates some of the same receptors in your brain as cocaine. Okay. And I'm not saying that if you do sugar, you're a coke addict, right? But like that instant gratification or those pleasure receptors, the idea of comfort food, it's okay in moderation. But, I always say what's better? Your instant gratification of eating that donut because it tastes good, or the delayed down the road gratification of feeling good 2, 3, 4, 5 days from now, 5 weeks from now, 5 months from now, because you've got a clean diet, a cleaner lifestyle, and you're not worried about, oh my gosh, I ate all this. Now I've got diabetes, or this hurts, that hurts. So there's two different games you could play. You could either live in the now, or you can invest in your future. And I always say it's better to look long-term. That's my thought.
Well, delayed gratification is a skill. It is important to, actually be able to do both. You need to be able to live in the now in a good way, and then also, delay gratification on certain things. Just think 10 years down the road when your knees are giving out. Is that something you want? Now, I've seen a bunch of comments here. I got to address it. Everybody's telling me to ditch my mountain bike. Okay, real quick. This is not normal. Okay, I ordered a new mountain bike. Turns out they had the brakes on backwards. Now, the first time I didn't get it, I thought it was my fault. So when I hit the brakes, I'm like, geez, I hit the front brake because I went flying, right? I'm like, God, what did I do that for? I never even thought to check where the brakes were. They had the right brake as the front tire instead of the rear tire on the new mountain bike. It's always in America, okay, not in Europe, but in America, your right brake is your rear tire. always, because that's the one you go to, most people go to. And so it's supposed to be the rear tire. It turned out it was a front tire. That's why I flipped my bike twice. So I don't need to get rid of the mountain bike. It just needed to be reversed, the brakes. Okay, so now it's fine. I'm not going to go be flipping my mountain bike all the time. I just want y'all to know. Okay, in fact, here, we'll run a poll. Understanding the problem now, should I ditch the mountain bike or keep the mountain bike? Ditch or keep? I want to see it in the chat here, because I'm telling you, I love it. It gets me access to, the Elkwoods that I want to get to, and it keeps you fit. I teach group cycle, actually, Sean, a spin class, and I love it. I love it. I mean,
Nice.
we get last night. So last night I got my heart rate over 200 beats per minute, and I had recovered 70 beats in 1 minute of recovery time. That's just phenomenal. When you're a middle-aged guy, that just doesn't happen. But the more you can do to increase your VO2 max and your anaerobic threshold, those are two of the big determiners of how long you're going to live and the quality of life that you will live. So this is we kind of went off news here, Sean, but I enjoyed this conversation because I think
me too. Health's important.
Oh my gosh. It's underrated. It's underrated. And it's so vitally important. Yeah, look at this. So people love you, Sean. There, I see Carrie must have just jumped on. She's been a longtime listener. OMG, the funny Trump guy. Hey, so yeah, you're pretty well known for your.
Well, I'll tell you what, you're all beautiful people, right? Very beautiful people. I can't see you. I see your YouTube logo, but I'm going to say you're beautiful people.
Yeah, they are beautiful people. Actually, I really do have one of the best audiences out there, because you can imagine, Sean, and when you're sitting there at a couple strikes and you stop producing for a few months, for strikes to disappear, and you're doing all this different stuff, it's like, and they're still there. They're still there.
No, it's amazing. That's a great thing. Yeah, they seem great. I got the comments on the side of my screen. I'm watching them, and it's just really engaged. Good, seem like really good people. Again, I say beautiful, but also smart. Right? Very smart. They're not stupid. What part of New York am I from? Long Island.
Long Island. Really cool. Well, folks, we got the news out. Adam Schiff. The one sad reality in the Adam Schiff thing, Sean, is we're looking at statements from 2016, 2017, statute of limitations.
Yeah.
We're looking at, where do you see this going?
Unfortunately, those statements may not be able to be used. That's why I said don't let them skate on the mortgage fraud.
Yes.
Now, in the larger conspiracy operation, statute of limitations does not start running until the final overt act has been completed. Yes. So I guess they can look at him and a lot of the other conspirators. There are going to be charges, I believe, in the Russiagate, Spygate situation. They got a grand jury. The reason why they say you can indict a ham sandwich is because if you can prove that a ham sandwich was present in a bank at the time of its robbery, you can indict it for bank robbery, right? You don't have to give the grand jury exculpatory evidence. There's no defense team. They don't have to hear both sides. The purpose of a grand jury is to get an indictment on crimes that the grand jury is required to hand those indictments down. So I don't think the DOJ would be impaneling a grand jury and doing all of this if they didn't think they'd be able to get some sort of indictment. And Vance even said that not too long ago in an interview that he believes indictments are coming in the Russiagate, Spygate, Obamagate investigation. Whether that includes Adam Schiff remains to be seen. But there's also a grand jury in the investigation that Ed Martin is leading into Sasquatch, Letitia James, and Pencil Neck Adam Schiff. And I'll tell you what, Ed Martin's the guy I want running that. So I think we're going to see it there too.
I think the Democrats kind of shot themselves in the foot with the whole Ed Martin thing early on. And
and if you remember who led the charge, Adam Schiff.
Adam Schiff.
And now he's being investigated. So, it's boomerang, right? He threw it and it came right on back, right? Just like me. They call me Donnie Boomerang. They kicked me out of office. I came right back and they couldn't stop it. So there you go.
Yes. Again, folks, go check out mypillow.com/lumberjack or call 1-800-568-2865 for the best deals on the best sleep products available. Sean, I'm going to let you outro it with your Donald Trump impersonation and we'll end the show.
Well, I want to say thank you to all of the wonderful people, the logical people, beautiful people, and to Neil, who's a tremendous guy. And I see that everybody wants the best success for Operation Big Beautiful Balls. We're going to have it. We're going to do very well. And believe me when I say this, the best is yet to come. Thank you for your attention to this matter.
Yes. Thanks so much for listening today, folks. We'll see you on the next episode. Peace out.